what's up? This is JBAT, and today I will be doing a film review for The Dark Knight Rises, the final film in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. And you know these films are based on the DC Comics superhero Batman, who was created by Bob Kane. So this will be my review for The Dark Knight Rises. And by the way, I mentioned that Selina Kyle was called the Cat, or known as the Cat, but she really wasn't. But she is Catwoman, but she wasn't really called the Cat or known as the Cat, you know what I'm saying? And I made that mistake in my review. So this is J-Bat. Alright. Hey, what's up? This is J-Bat, and today I'll be doing a film review for The Dark Knight Rises. As you can see here, a nice cover with Batman on the cover. So yeah, this is my review for this film. And this was the last film in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. It was actually like the reboot of the Batman film franchise, which consisted of 3 films. And this was the last film in the trilogy, because the first one was Batman Begins, then you had the Dark Knight, and then now you have the Dark Knight Rises. And this right here, this edition I have of it was the Blu-ray edition, of the film. So this will be my review for the Dark Knight Rises. Okay. Now in this film, it takes like a lot of elements from like the comic books, such as like Batman Year One and Batman The Dark Knight Returns. It takes like a lot of elements from those comic books, or those graphic novels. Because the film it opens with a scene with this guy known as Bane hijacking a plane, and I don't want to spoil it, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to give too much away or whatever, but the film opens with that. Then it jumps to like Wayne Manor. And Bruce Wayne is now like a cripple, and he's living like he's like a recluse now, you know what I'm saying? He's like living like, all like, you know what I'm saying? Well, he was always alone with like Alfred and stuff, but he's like a cripple now. And also on top of this, Bruce Wayne, well, Batman himself has been missing for 8 years. So this film, actually, that's kind of a shock in the film, that it takes place actually 8 years after the last film, The Dark Knight. And I remember at the time that they were saying that, that it would be 8 years, like across the timeline go after The Dark Knight. And that was kind of a shock to me, It was like a lot of, like controversy on that. So Batman has been like missing from Gotham City for 8 years. So after the situation that happened with the Joker and stuff, and he's not mentioned at all in this film, you know what I'm saying? He just went away and he took like the blame for Harvey Dent's death, at the end of The Dark Knight, which I won't touch on, I don't want to spoil it too much, especially if you have never seen The Dark Knight, So he actually went away and took the blame. So actually Gotham City still believes that he had a hand in the murder of Harvey Dent, because he became Two-Face towards the end of that film, you know what I'm saying? Harvey Dent. So yeah, the film, like I said, it starts after the scene with Bane hijacking the plane. It jumps to like Wayne Manor, and there's like this maid who kind of who takes Bruce Wayne's food to his room or whatever. But then she starts trying to break into his safe. Then he shows up, and and he tries to stop her, you know what I'm saying? And it turns out her name is Selina Kyle, and we all know who that is. Selina Kyle is the Catwoman. Now in this film, she is known as the Cat, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't call her like Catwoman at all in the film, you know what I'm saying? But Bruce actually he looks her up, like he tries to see if she has like fingerprints and stuff like that. But it turns out she doesn't, and it turns out that she's a master jewel thief. So I'm saying he finds that out when he goes back to the Batcave and like checks it out or whatever, and he does it. He has like a chit chat with Alfred. Now eventually in the film, I didn't want to spoil too much of it, Gordon gets caught up in something. He finds out about this almost like this terrorist type guy known as Bane, you know what I'm saying? So then he eventually gets hurt, and he has to be put in the hospital, So then Bruce Wayne comes to see him. Then he convinces Bruce Wayne that Batman needs to return, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't know that it's Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne has on like a mask or whatever. He's like dressed up like when they first met on like Batman Begins. Before Bruce Wayne became Batman, he was like dressed like as like a vigilante. He had like a ski mask on, But eventually, like this other cop, like this young cop played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his name is Blake. he kind of even has a hand in convincing Bruce to return to the role of Batman, you know. So eventually Bruce Wayne does return to the role of Batman when Bane shows up, like I'm saying, and terrorizes like the stock exchange building. That's when the Batman shows up, and it's kind of a cool scene because, you know, and it's reminiscent of like the graphic novel Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Is kind of very reminiscent of that, when Batman's been gone for like all these years, like almost a decade, and suddenly he's back on the scene. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of reminds you of that, because everybody say, "Oh, Batman's back, he's in return," and all that. Now, kind of eventually stuff, in this film, the cat, you know what I'm saying, Selina Kyle, she Bruce Wayne, he is curious about Bane's whereabouts, because when they first encountered each other, he couldn't catch him or whatever. You know, he actually didn't even see him. So eventually he does convinces her to take him to see, and she doesn't even know that he's Bruce Wayne. She convinces her to take him to see Bane. She does. So then there's like this brutal battle between like Batman and Bane, you know, and then Bane like breaks him just like he did in the comic books, you know what I'm saying, which I still haven't read yet. The Nightfall series, Bane actually had broke Batman's back in the comic books, you know. So the scene in the film is very reminiscent of that, of what happened in the comic books, you know. So after this, Bane, you know what I'm saying, Bruce eventually ends up in the prison where Bane was born and raised. So Bane was actually born and raised in the prison. So Bruce Wayne actually ends up in that same prison because Bane takes him there, you know what I'm saying. So then Bane goes back to Gotham City. Then he decides like to set bombs off in the city, like blowing up the stadium, which is kind of cool. And even blowing up bridges too, so people can't even leave Gotham City or come to Gotham City because like the main bridges have been blown out. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a terrorist kind of thing. That's what kind of make you, kind of uncomfortable looking at it, because it has like a strong like terrorist type vibe to it, you know. Now eventually Bruce Wayne, he regains like his body posture, you know, he gets it back right, you know, after being broken or whatever. So he returns to Gotham City. Then he and the cat, Selina Kyle, Catwoman, you know what I'm saying, they actually team up together to overthrow Bane or whatever and help save Gotham City. But from then on, I didn't want to spoil too much of it, you know. But the film, when I originally saw this, I didn't really like it too much because I saw like the opening, I think the opening day or weekend, I can't remember, at the theaters. I remember it was also a shooting at the time at the theater where the guy had, like the young guy had shot and killed like a lot of people, you know what I'm saying. But I remember I remember going to see it, and I really didn't like it that much when I originally saw it. But when after watching it a couple times, I think, I went to see it twice. But actually, when I watched it a couple times on video a lot, I thought, I'm saying, now it's kind of grown on me, and I think it's pretty good. I would recommend it, especially if you're a fan of like the Christopher Nolan Batman films, like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. You know what I'm saying? You probably would like this like final chapter in the trilogy, you know, The Dark Knight Rises. So if you're a fan of those, you probably would like these. But like a lot of things I did like about the film were it took like a lot of elements from out the comic books, you know what I'm saying? Like Bruce Wayne been gone for like 8 years, while Batman been gone for 8 years. That's like out of year one. And Dark Knight Returns kind of, you know, because in the Dark Knight Returns he was gone for like 10 years, you know what I'm saying? So that's basically what I was pulling from, like the Batman, the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel by Frank Miller. You could tell that they pulled a lot from that, because Batman was gone for 8 years, but in the graphic novel Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, he was gone for 10 years. So you see what I'm saying? It was very similar, you know, to that, you know. And plus the idea of Bruce Wayne being like crippled now because his leg got messed up. I think from the fall at the end of The Dark Knight, when he had fell, when he was hanging with Two-Face, I think that's when he had kind of injured his leg somewhat, you know. And plus, like other scenes, like the just little hints of stuff you could tell that was like taken from, you know what I'm saying, like out of year one, you know what I'm saying, like Batman escaping into an alley, you know what I'm saying. That kind of reminds you like a scene from out of year one when he went to the building and all the bats was like flying around and stuff, like I'm saying. And plus somebody like snapping like these crabs. It's kind of reminiscent of a scene from Batman: The Killing Joke, with the Joker and the other guys, before he became the Joker, they was like eating shrimps and stuff, and they was snapping the shrimps, you know what I'm saying? So I thought I was like, the idea of Selina Kyle like breaking into Wayne's manor, like Bruce is like safe and stealing like his jewels. It's very reminiscent of a scene from Batman: The Long Halloween, where Selina Kyle as Catwoman was breaking into Falcone's, you know, the mob boss, you know what I'm saying, his jewels, and trying to take his jewels. It's very reminiscent of that, but this time in the film it was actually Bruce Wayne, you know. I also like the voice of Bane, like he's played by Tom Hardy. I thought he did a good job as the voice of Bane, you know what I'm saying? And I thought his Bane looked realistic. It wasn't like overly, because Bane is like a bodybuilder, you know? In the comic books, you know what I'm saying? He's like real huge, you know what I'm saying? But like in the film, he was like very realistic portrayal, and it was actually more realistic than the Bane that was in Batman and Robin, the last Joel Schumacher film from 1997. Bane was also in that film because he was played by the late actor, you know, that had passed away. But he was like very realistic in this film. But I thought I liked the way his voice sounded. I remember there was like a lot of controversy at the time over his voice, how it sounded, you know what I'm saying? And then a lot of people was talking about you couldn't hardly understand what he was saying. But in the film, I thought it sounded cool. I liked it when he talked or whatever, especially when he was like fighting Batman or other moments throughout the film. You know what I'm saying? It sounded real cool. I like that his voice. And again, Christopher Nolan did like a good job, like on the directing. You know what I'm saying? David Goyer, who wrote the story along with Christopher Nolan, I thought they did good. Hans Zimmerman and James Newton Howard, they returned to do the music, you know what I'm saying, which is still just like Batman Begins, you know, The Dark Knight. Plus, there's like a new theme channel here where the guy said, I thought that was kind of cool. That's like a new thing they have in the film too, you know. Christian Bale was good as Bruce Wayne, Batman, you know, again. Then you had Michael Caine as Alfred. He was good, you know. Gary Oldman as James Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, he was good. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, he was good, you know what I'm saying? Then you had the two new villains, and one of them kind of was like an ally, you know, because Catwoman is kind of like that. You had like Anne Hathaway as Selena Kyle, you know, Catwoman, but they don't really call her that in the film, they just call her Selena Kyle. And she looked kind of cool, you know, like a simple outfit, you know, just like a black suit with like these like mask stain covering her eyes. Kind of simple, you know, it wasn't like overly done, you know. And I thought that was kind of unique, kind of cool, and she was kind of like the fight scene she had, the way she was, I thought she was okay, you know. Then you had this other character, you know, who was called Miranda Tate, and she was played by Marion Cotillard. Now Miranda Tate in the end turns out to be Talia al Ghul, you know, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. You know what I'm saying? She turns out to be actually her, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. It turns out that was Talia, you know what I'm saying? And Bruce, you know, Bruce Wayne, you know, in the comics, of course, had a kid with her, Damian Wayne, the son, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to spoil that or whatever. But yeah, it turns out that is Talia al Ghul, who's claiming to be Miranda Tate, you know, in the film. Thought that was kind of cool, you know, so really you had like three villains. You had a mixture of Bane. You could say Selena Kyle, she's like kind of an ally of Batman and a villain at times. Then you got Talia al Ghul, you know what I'm saying? Other people in this film show too, like Matthew Modine, he's in it, you know what I'm saying? Then you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Officer Blake, and he kind of resembles Robin to a certain extent, but it's not Robin because he's not Dick Grayson or Tim Drake or Jason Todd or none of them like that, you know. He's basically like just like some guy, you know what I'm saying? You could tell, kind of giving you a little hint, especially towards the end, that he could become like Robin or Nightwing or something, you know, because he has like his two like light things, you know. But he isn't like either Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, or Tim Drake. He's like an original like character, I believe. He could have been in the comics, but I think I'm not sure. Cillian Murphy returns as the Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane. He's not in the Scarecrow form. It's kind of like funny too, you know what I'm saying? But because his suit is all tore up and stuff, whatever. But he's in it again as Jonathan Crane, you know, the Scarecrow. But he doesn't have like the Scarecrow persona on. He's just like Jonathan Crane, you know. And then there's like flashback moments of with Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, you know what I'm saying, in the film too. You know what I'm saying? Like he has scenes as Ra's al Ghul, but they're like flashback scenes. And actually they're not flashback scenes, it's actually modern time. Like when Bruce is trying to get himself back together after being broken by Bane, you know. He actually has like he meets like a spirit version of Ra's al Ghul, played by Liam Neeson, which is kind of a nice little touch, you know, in the film. So yeah, the film, but like I said, the film it borrows like a lot of elements from like the Batman graphic novels, like Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. About, you know, the idea of Batman been gone for 8 years, you know, but in the graphic novel Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, he was gone for 10 years, so they were very similar, you know. Then like Batman Year One is like a lot of elements, you know, they took from that. The breaking of Batman, you know, like getting broke like he did in the comic books by Bane. But like I mentioned before, when I originally saw the film in the theaters, I didn't really enjoy it too much, but now that it's come on video, you know, kind of like I've been watching it a lot, you know. I mean, I've watched it a few times, and it's kind of grown on me, you know. I think it's a pretty good film. Now, my only gripe with the film too, which is okay, was there's not really that much Batman in the film. You don't really see like Batman too much, and that's kind of a shock too. You know, he's like kind of like he takes a while to show up. Then he has like a couple scenes down saying, and boom, you don't see him again for like towards the end of the film. So it's not really that much Batman in, but it's passable though. You know, especially when you're connecting it as like a trilogy. Cause like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, you know, The Dark Knight Rises, you know. But yeah, I would recommend watching this film, especially for like fans of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. I would highly recommend, you know, watching it or whatever. It still has like that realistic feel that Batman Begins and The Dark Knight had, you know. So I would highly recommend this, and this is JBAT, and this is my review for The Dark Knight Rises. And I would recommend this film, and this is JBAT. Alright. In the end, The Dark Knight Rises is a fitting climax to the Dark Knight trilogy. I would recommend this film, you know. And I'm also sorry about the mistake I made in my film review about Selena Kyle, who was played by Anne Hathaway, being called the Cat. She wasn't actually called the Cat, but she is the Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? Selena Kyle is the Catwoman, but she wasn't really called the cat in the film. So I'm sorry about that mistake, everyone. So yeah, this is a JBAT'S film review for The Dark Knight Rises, and I would recommend this film. Okay.